This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 245, How to Generate Leads with LinkedIn Posts, an interview with Kevin Appleby.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers, and today I share the results of an experiment on LinkedIn. Since August, I've been a member of a group managed by our guest, Kevin Appleby. The group has been commissioned to leverage and promote LinkedIn posts. LinkedIn posting is a way of marketing your profile and your brand, because if you post great content, more people will connect with you. When you grow your connections in LinkedIn, you widen your pool of prospective leads. So if you're looking to grow your authority to get a job or to get promoted or to earn new customers, this episode is for you. The selling secrets of LinkedIn is all revealed today. So, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Kevin. Are you ready to babble?
I'm ready to babble, Pat.
Oh, my goodness. Kevin, you and I are in the middle of an experiment here on LinkedIn, and it's something I've been chatting with people quite a bit, but it's the first time I've ever brought this up to sales babblers. They may have noticed that I've been spending a lot more time on LinkedIn. This was your idea.
Yeah.
And maybe you could tell listeners, first off, why don't you tell listeners a little bit about yourself?
Okay, right. Well, I'm Kevin Appleby. I'm a chartered accountant by background. That, for those of you in the United States, is the UK equivalent to a CPA. I work as a management consultant, largely on fairly major transformation programs, but I also do some business coaching with small business owners. And I run a podcast called the Next 100 Days podcast, which I co-host with my very good friend, Graham Arrowsmith. And that's directed at essentially small business owners, mostly guys of the sort of age of Pat and myself, who might have had a long career in corporate, might have well gone out on our own and be
young
doing
people.
Things themselves. Yeah, young people like us, Pat. Yeah.
But you were in Saudi Arabia earlier this year, right? That was not right. A small business, I would think.
Pat, I was working on a contract.
That's great. How was the weather?
Hot. Very hot. This was great. We had a huge snowstorm in the UK called the Beast from the East, where back in March, we got some unexpected wintry weather. We got probably 18 inches of snow in our village. Our village was cut off, and of course, Mrs. Appleby was Skyping me from home, and it snowed in, and I was sitting on my balcony in Saudi Arabia in the sunshine. So I was not very popular back then, Pat.
You and I actually know each other from the IBM, the International. What is that? What is that called? Internet Business Mastery.
Yeah, the Internet Business Mastery. Yeah, our friends Jeremy Franzen and Jason Van Orden.
Yes, and I took their marketing class. Gosh, good golly, 4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, at least that for me. Yeah.
And
but I'd been doing that podcast for a long time before that.
A long time before that, and that class taught me an awful lot about marketing that I use every single day now. And from that, you had a posting on there that said you're doing an interesting experiment on LinkedIn, and you certainly piqued my interest. And we hopped on a call and a Skype call. Why don't you tell us what we're doing?
Okay, right. A little bit of background to this, Pat. I got generally fed up with posting a lot of good stuff on social media, and then finding that nobody at all was bothering it.
Been there.
And I think probably 99.9% of the people on this call will probably suffer from exactly that problem. Now, you put this fantastic content out. Oh, I've posted something on LinkedIn. I got 3 likes, no comments, and 55 people viewed the post. Great. So we were publicizing the Next 100 Days podcast every week on LinkedIn. As soon as an episode went out, there's a post went up there. And those were fairly typical. And I ended up chatting with 1 or 2 LinkedIn gurus and found out that actually there's a way to post on LinkedIn that piques interest an awful lot more than that. And lately, I've been getting probably every time I post 3, 4, 5,000 views. I think the best one to date is sitting at something like 15,000. So suddenly I'm getting engagement. Suddenly I'm getting social media that works. And in the period we've been doing this, Pat, and we were advertising the Next 100 Days podcast an awful lot on Twitter. And as you probably know, Twitter changed all their rules at the beginning of this year. And I think our supply of new listeners because of that pretty much dried up. We just had the core numbers coming along. Now, since that low point in probably April, I've doubled our podcast audience through marketing it via LinkedIn.
You're on LinkedIn all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
you're literally all the time. Like, I wake up first thing in the morning, 5:30, which is probably 11 noonish your time. And you've been posting for a couple hours. You've been posting for quite a while.
What we're doing is we're saying, okay, there's a group of us, and we all communicate over WhatsApp, don't we, Pat?
Yes, we do.
And essentially what we say is, look, when you post something on LinkedIn, tell the WhatsApp group that you've done it, put a link to the post in the WhatsApp group, and we will all go in and like and comment on your post. Now, that degree of interest in LinkedIn suddenly piques the LinkedIn algorithm a little bit and says, I've got an interesting post here. I'm going to show it to a lot more people. And as a result, the views of your post will go up. Now, it's not quite as simple as that, but that's the basic principle of you and I being in the group together, Pat.
It's kind of a hack.
Yeah.
It's kind of like collectively we've come to an agreement to support one another. And, and to a certain degree it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way the LinkedIn algorithm works is you post something and the algorithm has a look at that post and says, hang on a minute, is this salesy? Yes, it is. Right. Okay. LinkedIn says to itself, I'm not going to promote this. If it's not salesy and it's interesting, then it says, I've got something here that might be a bit interesting. It also looks to say, is there a link in this post that's dragging people away from LinkedIn? Yes, there is. Right. I might then if there is a link like that, LinkedIn tends to not promote the post quite as much for you. But assuming that LinkedIn likes the post, the automatic algorithm likes the post, it then starts showing it to quite a number of your first degree connections. If those first degree connections then start engaging, liking, commenting, then it shows it to more people. It'll start showing it to the first degree people of those of your connections that liked and commented. So you can start getting the post that you've just put up on LinkedIn to travel quite successfully. It seems to be that if that support happens in the first hour that the post's released, then LinkedIn pays more notice to it.
Is that really true, though? I know you say that, but I don't know if I've really found that to be true.
I'm not sure if I've necessarily found it to be true. I know that an awful lot of people in the group, there are quite a few folk in the UK in the group, and where most of us are tending to do is we'll be posting around 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and then we're trying to comment before the working day starts. So it does mean there's a bit of flurry of activity in that first hour anyway. Now, take that first hour support away, Pat. You might be right that you're still putting the same amount of attention to the post.
Yeah, like people like me and Whitney Cole, who is actually on the podcast, she's in Milwaukee, so we're not seeing this till 6-7 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I've found that's interesting too is that. Let me tell you what I've really enjoyed about this is, first off, getting to know you all has just been an absolute hoot. I've learned an awful lot about English, the English football panacea. I've learned an awful lot about all your nonprofits that you're all working on, and about how traffic works. And it's been that's been kind of fun. But separate from that, one of the things I've learned is that by reading other people's posts is that when you place a question at the very beginning of the post, it makes it much more engaging. It makes it much easier for me to comment. If someone says, "Have you ever been in a challenge? Have you ever had a challenge where this kind of happened? You wasn't sure what to do?" Well, if so, and then they talk about what they want to talk about, and I'll read that and I'll go, "Yeah, I have been." So it's very easy to say, "Yes, I agree," or "No, I don't agree," or I'll. It makes it much easier for me to want to click on their link and to read what their article is or think about that and actually respond. And that's been enlightening.
Yeah, and that's it. You've got to think here, Pat. There are actually two algorithms at play with LinkedIn. There's that first one that I've already mentioned, that LinkedIn is trying to get rid of anything that's really salesy. It doesn't really like things that are going to take you away from LinkedIn to another website. So that's the LinkedIn algorithm, the automatic one. Then there's the human algorithm. Now, you've got to write something that people are interested in. And if you want people to comment, well, make it easy for them to comment. No? And what's easier than you've asked your reader a question? It implies you want an answer. The answer goes in the comments.
It reminds me of almost of like doing SEO for Google. There's on page and off page, search engine optimization they have, and what Google's looking for is stuff that's authentic, stuff that looks like it's for a human being, stuff that looks like it was written for a human being. It doesn't look like something that's trying to game the system, even though that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. We are trying to game the system, but we're trying to game the system with interesting, engaging stuff.
Yes. And it makes a big difference too. There's people in that group who I've found who refuse to follow your rules.
Yeah.
and quite frankly, I can't comment on some of those. I just can't. I have I have nothing to say here. And
I've got once upon a time I used to force myself to comment on those, thinking, yeah, they're in the group. We're all taking part in this together. I'll put a comment in. But frankly now, Pat, if I can't easily comment on something, I won't.
I'll like it.
Yeah.
I clicked on it to read it. I'm going, I don't have anything to say. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that the LinkedIn is looking for a like and a comment if you're going to make your posts really travel.
Yep. And but so people have come up to me and said, "Boy, you're on LinkedIn all the time. You really noticed it." And I'm going, well, not exactly, because there's some days I just can't get to it. I'm just too busy during the day. I can't get to it. But some days I am on there, and I'm happy to like check it every couple hours, 2-3 hours. It doesn't really. Yeah. It's not that hard. It's on my phone, so.
Yeah, I do a load of stuff first thing in the morning. If I'm going to post, I'll normally post at 8 a.m. I'll normally, if anybody else has posted at that time of the morning, I'll normally sit there drinking a good old British cup of English breakfast tea and comment on whoever else has posted. And let's face it takes absolutely, Pat, a Sales Babble mug.
I'm holding up my Sales Babble coffee cup here. Good old-fashioned South American coffee. I think this is from Peru. I think this coffee actually. Yeah.
So then, you stop in the middle of the morning for a cup of coffee. Quick look at WhatsApp. Has anybody posted? Nip in and comment. And literally, it is look in WhatsApp. Is there something new there? Yes, there's a link. Click on the link, which takes you straight to the post in LinkedIn, and to hit the like key and write a couple of sentences back. Doesn't take much time. Now you can do that in 2 minutes. It might look as though you're on LinkedIn a lot, but you're not actually.
No, not really, not at all. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm really. Go on.
What I found interesting, Pat, is that we've got 2 WhatsApp groups, haven't we? We've got one that's just got the links in, and then we're all in a second group, which we use to chat to each other.
It's pretty funny in that group.
This is great online business networking. Yeah? We're using,
and it is because I have connected with some really great people that I've just really found to just really like. Like I really like Carl Benfield. I really like Whitney Cole. I think these people are just really terrific people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And we've had some great conversations in there.
Yeah.
And I think as a result of that, you've had Whitney on the show as a podcast guest.
Yeah.
And that's the way networking works, Pat.
It is. It is. It is.
So we're getting a double whammy out of this. We're getting, and I'm posting every time we issue a new episode of the Next 100 Days podcast. You're posting every time you release a new Sales Babble. But it's not, hey, download the latest Sales Babble. It's, oh, we were talking about this subject this week. Here's the issues that were raised. And then you ask a question of the audience. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to find out more about this, tune into the podcast. And to get around that links thing, where we know LinkedIn doesn't like it. Oh, in the first comment, there's a link to the show.
Yeah, it's people have noticed that I show up a whole lot more, and that's made it. And I should be clear here too. And I have been saying this on a podcast. I'm pretty much it's the only social media I'm really putting any energy in right now. Back in the day, when you and I were little children taking the IBM class. They said, be everywhere. So I had like a Pinterest account and Twitter account and a Facebook account, and I had my MySpace account. No, I didn't do that. But it was all these different places to post. And now I've come down to realize, my ideal client, my avatar, is in LinkedIn. And those are the people who hire me. And because I've put so much time into my LinkedIn and making sure that people really understand that, I'm a startup consultant, and I work in the tech space and the B2B space, and those are the kinds of people that I'm looking for. That's really worked. I have been getting a lot of great business from LinkedIn. And one of my favorite clients found me on LinkedIn. So just out of the blue. So I think I'm very gung-ho on, and that's why you don't see me much on my Facebook group anymore. And that's why you don't see me much on Twitter anymore, because you weren't there to see me anyway.
Now, I've come to the conclusion that Twitter and Facebook are a waste of time. I also think paid Facebook advertising is a waste of time.
Yeah, I've tried that too. Now, I want to be very, very clear. It depends. That for me, that's true, but that's not true of everybody who listens to Sales Babble. All the Sales Babblers out there, it kind of depends what their business is. What I always say is, if you're going trout fishing, you go to a trout stream, right? You don't go to a river, you don't go to the ocean, you don't go to a lake. You got to know where your ideal clients are at, and that's where you need to engage. For me, it's in LinkedIn. And it might be for many of my and it may be the same for a lot of my Sales Babble listeners.
Yeah. Now, one of my coaching clients, Pat, is in a hobby niche, it's model railroading.
Yep.
And this time last year, we started talking about how he was running a club online, which really wasn't getting much traction at all. And I said, okay. Let's get the discussion going properly. Let's put a Facebook group together. And we said to each other, well, we might get 500 people in this Facebook group. As we speak now, I think we're at 4,300 members in a year. And Justin is making things, 3D printing. He's laser cutting stuff on a very, very fine laser printer. And the stuff that he turns out is fantastic. And he's using our Facebook group so powerfully that he's posting in there and saying, hey, look, this is the latest thing that I'm prototyping on the laser cutter this week. What do you think, guys? And a whole conversation starts.
That's so cool.
And there'll be a post 2 days later. Oh, here's the final version. It'll be available on Saturday. And there'll be a link to it in this week's newsletter. And that works for that niche. And that's Facebook working hugely powerfully. But hey, you and I ain't going to sell consulting that way, are we?
No, but it works for him.
Our clients are sitting in LinkedIn. And let's face it, an awful lot of people's clients are sitting in LinkedIn, because how many of your customers are employees that might be in more of a professional nature job, and therefore they're using LinkedIn, their profile's there, they do go in over a cup of coffee. It's not just business owners you can talk to this way.
No, it's anybody who's really professional is in LinkedIn. And they have a good, and they should have a good LinkedIn profile that clearly explains who they are and what they're about. To a certain degree, I think the whole thing started out as kind of as a resume, and to a certain degree, it still is that. But if I've learned anything in life, I've learned nothing lasts. Jobs come and go. You should always be prepared for the next job. Everybody should be on top of their LinkedIn and making friends and networking. Now's the time to do it while you still got a job, while things are going really
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And think about that resume, because what's happening and what we're doing. Okay, a lot of the posts we write, Pat, ain't sales posts. Might have very little to do with the business we're running some days. And I might write something that's purely about football in the UK. That's soccer to you Americans.
Right.
And they end up being very, very popular posts. Now, what's going to happen as somebody who doesn't know me reads that post? It's, oh, who's this guy, Kevin Appleby? Click through to my profile. Okay. Now, your profile shouldn't be your CV. It should be saying in very, very clear terms, here is the problem that I can solve for you. Okay. So think about your LinkedIn profile much more like the about page on your website than your CV. And that's a power of what we're doing here, Pat. I mean, as certainly I've seen over the course we've been running this experiment, I've seen profile views on LinkedIn go up by probably 100%.
I believe you.
Yeah.
So you want to do something. You have a call to action for this episode, right?
Yeah.
There's something you want to kick off, which is the whole reason you and I started talking about this earlier in the fall.
Yeah. Well, long and the short of this, Pat, is that unless you've got a group of people already working that are promoting these things, well, nothing's going to happen. Getting that group together is very, very difficult. It's taken, what? When did we start talking about this? It must have been...
I'm thinking it was maybe August now that I think
it
about
must be
it.
August.
Yeah.
So we've been running this August into it now, as we're talking this through, it's middle of November. It's taken us really that long to get the critical mass of this group going, to get it really working the way we want. And even now, I still think we need some more people. But
we need some more Americans, I know that.
Now. Yeah. So what we're going to do now, rather than this just being an experiment, we're going to open this up to the public. Well,
and how are you going to do that?
Well, there's going to be a website, which I'm about to put live, but it'll be live by the time this call goes out. It's going to be linkedprofessionally.com. And to be part of the club, to work together, because there's an amount of administration goes into this, to check that people are playing ball, that they're going in and they're posting regularly, that they're being fair and they're not expecting their stuff up and then not support anybody else and things like that. It takes a bit of time behind this. So there's a cost to doing this. So if we're going to make this bigger, more people and so on, the cost is going to be $25 a month.
Which is well worth the trouble.
Absolutely.
Well worth the cost.
And I'm looking at that and saying, if I wouldn't spend $25 this month on a Facebook ad, I wouldn't touch 10% of the people that I can touch through LinkedIn.
No, it's a real investment. It's a great investment.
Yeah. So what we're going to do as we're kicking this off, and you've got to know this is right for you. You've got to know that you can make the commitment and so on. So we're through from now till Christmas Eve. I'm going to run an offer and say that if you come along and join, you can have the first month for $5 and then $25 a month thereafter. No?
I love it.
If you don't like it after that first month, hey, it's cost you $5. There can be no refunds around this or anything. But hey, $5. What's $5? Try it out. See if it works for you. And if you want to come along and join it, you just go across to linkedprofessionally.com. There'll be a form to sign up. You will, by the way, guys, you will need to give your cell phone number on that form, because one of the key processes of bringing you into this is setting you up in the various WhatsApp groups that work through mobile.
Which I totally don't understand why WhatsApp needs to know my phone number, but it does. I use WhatsApp in my personal life too. I have some of my kids live abroad, and that's what we use to communicate. And it's messy when phone numbers keep changing from country to country.
It is. We've just found that WhatsApp is a really great way of doing this, mainly because of the way you can stick a link into WhatsApp, click on it, takes you straight into LinkedIn, straight to the post you want to comment on, and it's just a really good way of talking to each other.
Yeah, and I use the desktop version too now. I just started that like a couple weeks ago, and that's kind of useful too. I have been doing it all on my phone.
Yeah, I actually find when you're commenting on posts, it's really useful to use the desktop version just simply because you get a keyboard.
Yeah. What I like about my phone is I use Siri and I speak into it,
Yeah,
and I can write 2-3 sentences pretty quick if I slow down.
yeah, but you can do the same on the desktop version, Pat. On my MacBook, I just press the function key twice, and I'm in dictation mode.
Oh, I guess maybe I could do that. But I'm not a Mac person. I used to
Yeah,
have. I'm a PC. I'm old.
uh,
I can't
you see,
switch.
there's a difference there. People that
I love my little Dell here. You know,
Yeah, you
I
see,
I love this
people that
little
use
laptop.
Macs talk about what they use their Mac for to do all sorts of whizzy clever things. People that use PCs tend to talk about how to fix their PC and how to get it to work properly.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, this is I wouldn't agree with that, but all right. Well, I'll make sure when that comes up, I'll make sure and place it in the show notes. By the time this goes live, that'll be happening. I have really enjoyed this experiment. I've really enjoyed this experiment, Kevin. This has just been a ton of fun, and I'm looking
So
forward to seeing how the Sales Babble audience can hop on this too.
I guess what I've got to say to you here, though, Pat, is results for you. And I've talked about the number of views I get. What have you found?
Yeah, so last week on the Pete Williams, I had 448 views. Jeffrey Gitmer, I had 531 views. Whitney had 555 views. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Ferrara, I had 780 views. Lee Sauls, I had 1,243 views. Yeah, I had quite a bit. So there's something else that's coming with this that you haven't mentioned. There's going to be training with this, right?
There's
On how
training
to
with
approach
this.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's going to be training on this about how to write a good post that travels. One of the things I should point out there, Pat, in all of those numbers that you've written out, those have all been posts with photographs on them, haven't they? Or
Right.
images. Now, what I'm finding is that a post that's just plain text seems to travel further than a post with an image on it. Don't know why, but I'm looking at something I posted, and Son and I had a fantastic day at a local brewery. We were brewing our own
I
beer,
saw that.
doing this on a big kit.
I was
You
excited
said
about
because you
that.
commented on the post, Pat, but that post with a lovely photograph on it, which had 32 likes, 45 comments, 640 views. Okay,
Yeah.
it should have traveled a lot further. I put a post out the Monday after that, which was a pure training post. I was talking about using hashtags on LinkedIn. It was just pure text, no sales message, no links in it or anything. 36 likes, 38 comments, 3,676 views.
Wow. Or hashtags. I know that's something they've introduced about maybe 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
Do you know anything? Do those boost views, or are they just a tool for like filtering?
I think it's useful to use one or two, I think, Pat, because we've probably all been asked to express a preference, the hashtags that we like. And we've probably all said that we like marketing, we like small business, we like
Yeah.
things like that. So I tend to put two or three in. But what I've done as well, I've created my own hashtag called the Next 100 Days Podcast. And the lovely thing about these hashtags is they're clickable. So if you click a hashtag in LinkedIn, you will get all of the most popular posts with that hashtag in will come up on your screen.
Yeah.
So in a lovely way, if somebody says, "Oh, I want to know more about
I like that. I like that.
podcast," suddenly they can click on the hashtag and they can see probably my last 10 posts on it, probably Graham's, my co-host's last 10 posts. Occasionally guests use the hashtag as well when they say they've been on the show. So you get a whole variety of stuff.
I love that. I like that. I should do. I have a Sales Babble. I've done a Sales Babble hashtag here and there.
Yeah.
I should get rigorous about that.
Yeah, and I'm now starting to put Link Profession as a hashtag as well.
Interesting. This is such good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we have. I think we've talked this to death.
I think we probably have, Pat. I think we've probably gone over your 30-minute limit as well.
Yeah. We're well over our time. Kevin, thank you very much for visiting us here on Sales Babble. This has been it's been great babbling with you.
It's been tremendous, Pat. Next time we've got to babble over a pint of beer.
Yes, sir. As we mentioned in the episode, if you'd like to become a member of the LinkedIn Professional Group, You can join for only $5 for the first month and see if it's a good fit for you. Go to the show notes at www.salesbabble.com/245, and you can find a link to that. We would love to have you join. There's a lot going on this month. You know, it's the month of December, lots of holiday stuff. On Christmas Day, actually, the much anticipated and loved top 10 sales and marketing tools of 2018 will return with my good friend Neil Christensen. We'll be cracking beers and cracking each other up and sharing tools that we found that have been extremely valuable here in 2018 that you must look into for the year of 2019. And speaking of 2019, on New Year's Day, I'll be doing an episode on goal planning. Now is the time to start thinking about what next year's going to look like. Start working on your goals, and I will be chatting some about that on New Year's Day, along with worksheets and a whole process for you to figure out how you can meet and exceed your expectations. And one last and final thing, I am creating a Slack channel, Sales Babble at Slack. If you would like to join this Slack channel, I am on Slack all day long. I don't know if you know what Slack is, but it is it's kind of a messaging tool, a way of people communicating back and forth without sending emails. I am on it all day long. I have a couple clients that are on Slack, and that's how I communicate with them. If you would like to communicate with me and other people in Sales Babble, I think this might be a great way for us to connect. I've tried a million different ways of doing this. I've tried LinkedIn groups. I've tried Facebook groups. I love experimentation, as you can see. Let's give Slack a try and see if that works for you. If you would be interested in it, send me an email at pathelmers@salesbabble.com, and I'll place you into the channel. And next thing you know, we will all be slacking one another, asking questions, sharing information amongst one another when it comes to sales and marketing. Sounds like a ton of fun. That's all I've got for today. Thank you again for visiting us here on Sales Babble. I really appreciate it. Until next week, take care and have a highly successful and a profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.